I think the Bengals might just be cooked. They have Joe Burrow. That's exciting. That is going to bring some joy and some excitement to that offense and to that team. But a lot of it about this team scares me. They bring back their defensive coordinator, and the defense finished 30th in scoring defense last season in year one. Defenders whose contracts who will be free agents. Trey Hendrickson, starting edge rusher. Joseph Asai, starting edge rusher. Geno Stone, starting safety. Cam Taylor-Britt, starting cornerback. So now you are losing your 2 starting edge rushers to potentially, unless you re-sign them. And by the way, they have $46 million in cap, which is 7th most in the NFL, but edge rushers are going to chew through that like nothing else. And so now you're in, I think, a pretty awful situation where you don't have, there are teams out there with 70 or 80 million in cap space. You've got 46, and you don't have defensive line help, and defensive line is expensive. And also, by the way, you've got a head coach who is 52 and 63. He's got, I think, 2 seasons of his 6 seasons of his, not his 6. I'm going to give it a pause before I say this other number so they're not close together. Of his 7 seasons. Yep. 2 10-win seasons. The other 5 seasons, he's gone 2-14, 4-11, 9-8, 9-8, and now 6-11. He's 52 and 63 overall. Y'all had a decent season offensively. They finished 12th in scoring offense under Dan Pitcher in year 2. But yeah, if I was a Bengals fan, I'd be nervous because you're kind of relying on Joe Burrow to come back and work wonders behind an offensive line that has not been great, and I feel like still is not going to be great. I mean, he's been hit a lot, and some people say that he's not injury prone, he's just hit prone, and so that leads to him being a more injury prone quarterback. But coaching wise, Zach Taylor's the coach going forward. There are a lot of people who were shocked by that decision to keep him around for an 8th year, but here we are. I'm not going to talk too much about that because the coaches are all known commodities. We know Zach Taylor, he's back. Dan Pitcher is back for year 3. Al Golden is back for year 2. So I'm going to talk about some things they need to do. I think the big thing they're going to need to do is they need to have hit on guys in last year's draft. They need to have hit on Shamar Stewart at edge. They need to have hit, basically everywhere. They kind of need to have hit on everybody. Let me see if I can find it. I had their draft from last year pulled up, and now I don't. But Shamar Stewart was their first pick.
I'll talk about Shamar Stewart while you
do that.
Pull him up. Tough year 1 for my Texas A&M Aggie, Shamar Stewart. I do think it's a really tough environment for him to come in. He missed a lot of camp because he was sitting out. He was always a bit more of a project piece. You're drafting him for his tools and his traits, not his production. And then with the Trey Hendrickson missing time, there was some times where it's like this guy, this kid, this rookie is being asked to do a lot that he's just simply not equipped to do yet. And so you could argue, well, you draft him in the first round. We need him to be better. 100% agree. But I don't think I'm ready to shut the door on Shamar Stewart yet. I'll give him another year.
He only played 8 games.
He only played 8 games, correct.
So he didn't play a lot, but ideally you will have had hit on him.
Yes.
Is one thing that they need to do.
Ideally, at the end of next season, you're going... There's Bengals fans buying Shamar Stewart jerseys.
Yeah. And then you would love to have hit on your 2nd and 3rd round picks, especially Dylan Fairchild, an offensive lineman. Things they need to address, they pick, I believe, 11th.
Correct.
In this year's draft.
Or sorry, they picked 10th.
Is it 10th?
Yes. They picked 10th.
Yeah, they'll pick 10th. At one point, this was a shot, not shot in the dark. This was never going to happen. But at one point, I had Ruben Bain mocked to them. This was, I feel like, before Ruben Bain really solidified himself as truly elite. It was early in the season. I was like, okay, well maybe enough teams will take. I had all the quarterbacks. This was still when I had a lot of quarterbacks going.
Drew
in the
Aller, top 10.
No, I think it was after Drew Aller,
okay.
But I had him sliding down to 8. That's not going to happen. At 10, you're looking at a couple defensive players. Also, you're looking at Carnell Tate, Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, and Mekhi Lemon, but that does not help the Bengals. Wide receiver help is not what they need. Unless you think, a third string wide receiver. No, that's crazy. You're serious?
I'm serious. I would not hate it.
Oh my word!
I would not hate it.
With all of the help that they need, if David Bailey is sitting there at 10, you have to take David Bailey. I would love Peter Woods at 10. I like Keldrick Falk a lot from Auburn. And take him. Maybe Cassius Howe. You go back-to-back A&M guys, depending on how much they like him.
It'd be so funny. I mean, I want Cassius Howe to work out, but imagine they draft Cassius Howe. It doesn't work out because he's too small. The concerns come to fruition. There may be never be an NFL team that's hated a college team more than Bengals fans would hate A&M.
Yeah. But that's kind of where I'm looking. I think you have to go defense. I think you have to go defense heavy, or maybe offensive line. I really hate the situation they're in with Orlando Brown Jr. He has not been good since arriving in Cincinnati. He has not lived up to the expectations. This year he allowed 9 sacks and had 10 penalties at left tackle. But you're kind of stuck with him. He's not going to be a free agent, and you've got enough money in him that I think you got to stick with him. Amarius Mims is your other tackle. He was a draft pick, I think, 2 years ago. He was a first rounder 2 years ago in 2024. You will love to have had hit on him. They kind of need to do that. So those are my big things. Is they need to hit on the guys that they already got, and then you need to get defensive help quick for your defensive coordinator, because giving up as many points per game as they were giving up, Joe Burrow is not going to be able to score enough points for that. So that's what I'll say about the draft. In free agency, try and get Trey Hendrickson to come back. Maybe that's probably dead. It's probably done.
I would say, what do you think the odds of that happening?
I don't think
are?
it's high. I think that there's got to be a rift, or
He only played 11 games this year, had 4 sacks.
Yeah, I just don't think that that's going to happen.
I'm inclined to agree with you.
But maybe you can get some of those other guys. You can keep them in house, because Cam Taylor-Britt had a decent season, so you try and keep him around, and then you go out the edge rushers this year. Maybe you try and go get a Khalil Mack. Maybe that's what you want for this one season, or not for this one season, but you go and get him on a 1 or 2 year contract. Other options, Khalil Mack. Hassan Reddick is another guy who is still productive. So those are a couple options that you might try and bring in for short term, just to help out this defense, because you also don't want to be wasting Joe Burrow, because if he has a healthy season, the ceiling is the limit. The sky is the limit, not the ceiling. He has a high ceiling, but the sky is the limit with a healthy Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. So you got to address defensive line, I think, in the draft, and then also in the free agency, and then also offensive line. I think could use a couple pieces, but they've got talent there. They've got talent invested. They got money invested. It just hasn't worked out.
I think you're too down on them. I think they're winning the division next year. They've got the only continuity in division. They're the only team with the same head coach and same quarterback next year. Pittsburgh's going to have both be different. Baltimore's got a new head coach in Jesse Minter, as we just learned. And Cleveland doesn't have a head coach. They're also...
But they got their quarterback.
Do they?
Oh, yeah, they do. According to Mel Kiper. You've seen everything you need to see from Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, so I do think they've got the inside track to first or second in this division pretty easily, with Pittsburgh and Cleveland struggling. And those, you'd hope would be 4 wins right there off the bat. And then if you can handle Baltimore, you're right there in contention to win the division. The cap space, I think they've got enough money to spend around, and they can find those kinds of pieces like a Khalil Mack. I would really love as a potential guy, and he doesn't have to get paid, all of the cap space. You can pay him. You can get him maybe on a cheaper deal, convince him that he can come win a Super Bowl with Joe Burrow. So with that first pick too, I say it half jokingly, but if Carnell Tate fell that far, are you not drafting Carnell Tate? And then you can have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Carnell Tate.
Well, you've already got Andre Yoshivas. You've got a good wide receiver 3.
That he can be wide receiver 4.
Even better.
You draft him and then trade Yoshivas for a first-round pick. That's what you do.
That's the offense in me. What you're looking for this next season is it's the same as what you're going to be looking for with Dallas here, who we'll talk about in a second, is you need to raise the defensive floor a little bit, and at the same time, you need to maintain the offensive floor. Joe Burrow's got to be healthy is a critical factor. He hasn't had a healthy season since 2022, and he lost the AFC Championship that year. But you need to raise that defense from 30th in the league to 22nd in the league, to in the teens in the league. I don't think you need to do too much more than that, and I think you just predicate yourself on scoring a ton of points. And so I do think you could get by with whoever it may be, Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, with that first pick. Because, those other guys in those other picks aren't guarantees. Like, I don't think Keldrick Falk is a guarantee right now. David Bailey, we've already talked about concerns with him. Peter Woods, likewise. Like, Sonny Styles is really the only pick I really like there if you're going to go defense, personally. Unless you wanted to go somehow corner at 10 with Mansour Delane or McCoy from Tennessee. So I do think this team looks better next year. I do think this team has the inside track to win the division. And so I wouldn't be too down on this team.
Yeah.
I think you may be a little bit too down on this team, even
Well,
with
they
them
hurt
losing
me.
pieces.
I picked them to win the division this year because I was like, oh, they're going to score a crap ton of points. And they finished 11th in the NFL in scoring, which surprised me when I looked it up because it just didn't feel like that. Because, they're going to be drafting 10th. It'd feel like they had a down season. But
Well, 11th wasn't good enough for what their
11th
defense
was
is.
no, it was not. And so I think that's kind of why I'm like, I might have been hurt.
Sure. I think there's a world where they could win the division like JP's talking about, but it's mainly because I feel worse about the division as a whole than I do. Like, I feel better about the Bengals all of a sudden.
Yeah. Let's see. What are the other things that I should bring up? I mean, I can do MVP of the team.
Yeah.
Please do.
I don't know which category he falls in. I want to shout out Andre Yoshivas, just because like he's I think he's an Ivy League player, and so he's still a younger guy, but he's really kind of like been a good wide receiver 3 for them. He makes a lot of plays. He'll make some really cool catches. So I think that's who I'm gonna. He'll probably be the one. He'll probably be the name nobody knows. And then for MVP, Joe Flacco for giving them a chance for 2 weeks for winning that Steelers game, and for a second, everyone, the meme of like when I'm gaming and then I sit up, everyone kind of sat up for a second when they won that game. Like, is Joe Flacco going to be able to like kind of carry this Bengals team and just heave the ball to Jamar Chase enough?
He got them to 3-4 at that point, and then they suffered 2 devastating back-to-back losses at home, where they lost 39-38 to the Jets. And then if you'll recall it now that I mention it, the 42-47 loss to the Chicago Bears, where they were running up and down the field in the fourth quarter in Chicago, and Caleb completes a pass to Cole Kmet. You change the result of those 2 games, and you're looking at a team that is 5-4, 5-5 when Joe Burrow returns, and then you can have your Baltimore Ravens Thanksgiving game, and then if he doesn't throw the 2 picks at the end of the Buffalo game, you're looking at a team that's in the playoffs. So it very well could have changed right there. I don't disagree with the Joe Flacco pick there, personally.
I'm fine with it.
Anything else for their offseason primer? I think that they're another team where free agency will have a lot to do with how I feel about them going into next season. Because like I picked them to win the AFC North. I think I picked them to win like 13 games this year. I was very high on that offense, and the Joe Flacco injury, devastating.
Joe Burrow,
thank you. Kind of cooked me in my prediction. So once I see how they use their money, once I see how they draft, I think I could be a lot more excited. But right now, if I were the general manager, I would not be excited about having to manage the roster that this team has right now.
I mean,